Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe football show. I'm here with a good friend of mine, Martin. We're just going to chat Leeds United, aren't we, Martin?
Absolutely.
Bit of a backstory. Let's talk about how we met. Obviously, we met on the Square Ball Walk, didn't we?
Absolutely.
Bringing men together for mental health, and obviously found out you lived in the northeast, and we've become friends from that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
And Martin gets me out of the house, you see. He checks in on me and makes sure I'm all right and brings me 4 lemon cake, which is like a brick. It's massive. Jonathan and David, actually. Jonathan, who's always in the chat, Jonathan Brock and Dave, have been here and tasted this. But so, what would we say? It's a farm shop, Martin?
Farm shop, yeah. Definitely. Penshaw Monument, farm shop's great.
Yeah.
And I think for me, Joe, today, there's almost like the big 3 for me. And the big 3 for me is Leeds United, cake and walking. And I think the fact that we've been and had a nice sort of half-hour walk is massive for me. Yeah. And like, you know, a man of a certain age.
You're in your 20s, aren't you, man?
I mean, it's been a tough paper round.
You've got more hair than me. That's
a little bit more hair, yeah. But I mean, basically, I think for me, Joe, one of the things like when we did the walk, we met each other and what have you, it was really important for me for, you know, like men's mental health. We don't look at it as much as we should. And doing a walk, you don't actually realise the benefits that you're getting. And you know, you talk about Leeds United, and we all like to talk a bit of rubbish about our football team and what have you. But you know, I just really love meeting up, getting some cake, and you know, I pretend that the walk takes away the calories of the cake, but it probably takes about a square inch of it really, and you eat all the rest. But you know, hey ho, you can do worse things.
Yeah, no, exactly, you bang on. It is great. I know there's a lad called Matty from Imagine Not Being Leeds. He's doing a sponsored walk for Andy's Man Club and Autism Society from Old Trafford to Ellen Road. So if anyone wants to get involved with that, I know he is doing that. So pop on over there and check that out, because like I say, we are, I guess, people that would not normally mix, and then you come together and you find a common ground, and then, like I say, become friends. It's funny, we were just talking, weren't we, to the lady that brought this over. She was a Sunderland fan of a certain age and remembered the 72. You were just saying about watching the final in colour. Yeah,
I mean, basically in 72 that was the Centenary Cup final, and I watched Leeds versus Arsenal at home, because I'd started supporting Leeds from 1970 when infamously we had the battle against Chelsea and lost, and I've watched Leeds through thin and thinner ever since really. But 72 I watched Leeds win the cup final in black and white, and my mum and dad didn't have a lot of money, but what they did was, people of a certain age will remember that there's a thing called red diffusion, and so you didn't buy a colour telly because they were far too expensive, so you could rent them on a monthly basis. And the Friday night before Leeds played Sunderland, we're all good.
We're good. Thank you, it's all right.
We're actually being asked if we're okay, but we're all good. But you know, the red diffusion was my mum and dad made a big effort so that I could watch Leeds versus Sunderland in the cup final. So I watched Leeds win the FA Cup in black and white, and I saw us get beat in colour, and it was an absolute nightmare. But the lady that's just served us, it made her very happy, so we're all good. Everyone's a winner.
Do you know what that reminds me of? And people will remember this of my age. My mum had one of them widescreen TVs that you used to put £1 in, and it'd give you a few hours, you know what I mean? And then after long, they used to have to come and check it box had been tampered with, because people were getting the quids out and putting them back through. But it's funny because there'll be a lot of people watching it that'll remember what Martin's just shared. I was just sharing with him there my analytics, and the over 55s are big watchers of this show, so you'll probably relate. But we were talking as well, mate, about the transfer window. I'm of a certain age. I'm, some would say, losing my head, getting a little bit stressed because we're not doing any business. But you were sharing about how much it's changed, because when it were back in your day, there were none of that.
Absolutely. I mean, I think for me, when I was like in my 20s, I couldn't believe that there was no substitutes in football. The people talk about no substitutes in football. So all through my teens and in my 20s and such, like there was like one substitute you could have, you know, one, and that was like, you know, with Leeds, it was always like if Madeley wasn't playing, he was a substitute, and you know there was certain people like Mick Bates who must have had about 150 substitute appearances at least for Leeds, but never got into the side. So you knew the 12. Now the 12, you don't think about the 12, you think about the 20, and you know we've got to get the bench to be big enough.
Well, you have
it's got to be
5
strong
subs
enough.
now as well.
It's 9, isn't it?
Yeah, but you're allowed to make 5
to make
game,
5
yeah,
subs.
yeah.
Sorry, I see what you mean. Yeah, absolutely, Joe. So you know you would not always use your 1 sub. If things were going well, and you know, let's not forget when Leeds were playing, it was a 42 game season. And so you were probably looking at 14, 15, 16 players all together in the squad.
Yeah.
People talk about, you know, needing to have recovery and whatever. And don't get me wrong, it's a different game. It's a different altogether with the athletes and such like. But actually, you were talking about Leeds United were one of the best teams in the world playing in the European Cup or the Cup Winners' Cup or whatever. All of them matches abroad, not in flights like we have now. You know, and they're doing all them games. 50 odd games a season, massive.
Here's a question for you then, because I always debate this, and I'll never forget. It was during Bielsa time, and there was a guy of a certain age, and we were chatting at pitch side, and he said that for him the Bielsa era was better because back in Revy's time in the 70s, it weren't as quick, the balls were heavier, the pitches weren't as great, and like you said, in terms of, I guess, player fitness. I mean, we've all seen Charlton having a fag before and at half time and stuff. So for someone who's been in both eras, what would you say? I know someone mentioned Howard Wilkinson, of course, as well, and rightly so. But where do you land on that?
I just think it's absolutely so difficult to compare. I think if you've got the skill and the mental knowledge of football, you could actually look at somebody from the 60s and 70s. If they had exactly the same prep and everything as they do now, in their day, they would have probably been as good. But they're a lot slower. It was a lot slower game. It was a very, very different game. But he's a quick one for you, Joe, for the people that, I'm 62, people around my age. I had the fortune of getting to know a guy called Alan Peacock, who we just sadly lost.
Right.
He was one of our 1965 World FA Cup finalists, and I actually knew him as a family friend, and I'm going to his funeral in a few weeks' time. Right,
folks, we've had to change location because the weather started to come down, so we're in another different part now of the farm shop. It's a lovely place, make sure you go. But you were telling us about Alan Peacock?
Alan Peacock, yeah. Alan Peacock, I mean, sadly, we lost Alan Peacock a couple of weeks ago. He'd had really bad dementia, and he was known as Peach because he was one of the best headers of the ball in the 60s for England. And obviously, you look at some of the things about the dementia and such like, that's a different story altogether. But Alan Peacock didn't talk about football very often, but one of the things he did say to me was he was in the 1962 World Cup final in Chile, and you look at what people do today in football, what it's like. He was actually representing England. He scored against Brazil in the World Cup finals, and he stayed in what had been a prisoner of war camp in the Second World War. That's where England played. I think that I'm right in saying Bobby Charlton was a kid in that World Cup squad, but there's certainly some massive names, and that's where they stayed. So we talk about a different world. So when you just said to me, Joe, you look at the sort of Reeve era and you look at the Bielsa, how would it have been? They're incomparable, but those players were absolutely fantastic in their day.
Of course. Yeah, no, definitely. Just bringing it obviously up to modern day. How are you feeling ahead of the Premier League season? It's going to be a tough one, isn't it?
It's going to be really tough, and probably this is not what a lot of people feel, but I'm a bit sort of odd in this respect. I've always said to people, I love seeing my team win.
Yeah.
And if it's a Saturday, because I am a traditionalist, I do love 3 o'clock on a Saturday. If it's a Saturday and Leeds beat Plymouth 2-0, the buzz I get at 5-2, at 5-5 when they've won 2-0, I forget who we've beaten after 3 weeks. So whilst I'd love to beat Arsenal and Newcastle and Everton and have 9 points in the Premier League at the start of the 25-26 season, I really enjoy winning. And what I'm going to find difficult is when we get into this league, everybody knows, everybody's talking about transfers, everybody's talking about survival, and if we don't get a good start, we won't survive. Yes, I want us to survive, and yes, I want us to win the Premier League.
Yeah.
Reality?
No,
I've absolutely loved 2 years, 180 points we've had in 2 years.
Which is mad, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely mad. And actually, I said 180, we've had 190, haven't we? Sorry, we had 90 and 100 points.
Yeah,
95 points a season. And that is a lot of wins, and that's a lot of times when my wife has been quite relieved because she's thinking, well, he's not going to be a miserable, whatever. And I just think, you know, when you get beat, it hurts. And does it hurt more when Bournemouth beat you away or Hull beat you away?
It's the same, isn't it?
It's the same. So I'm looking forward to it.
But you know what? You make a great point, Martin, because if we don't beat Everton on that first week, you genuinely could be looking at 3 games without any points.
Straight away.
And straight away, because, look, of course, we could beat Newcastle, but they're one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah.
Arsenal away, I think I'm 95% sure we get beat.
Yeah.
So it's like, if we don't beat Everton, you're looking at 3 game weeks, that's 3 weeks without a win, and already the fan base are going, Farker's not the man, or we haven't bought the right players, and it just becomes quite depressing. Do you know what I mean? Very quickly.
Yeah, it does.
So,
it does.
You know, I think we have to prepare ourselves as a fan base to go weeks without winning games and understand that that might happen.
But I think as a fan group, Joe, it's probably every club's the same, but what I see is a very insular sort of way of thinking. And what we think, we've only bought 4 players. I don't know that this is factually correct, but what I'm hearing is that Everton have got about 14 squad players at the minute. They're playing us in a few weeks. They've got 14 players. They're looking at Jack Harrison possibly coming in now because they want to spend money on other people. You know, fundamentally, where are Everton at the moment? Right. And if I'm really honest with you, Joe, if we bought 2 absolutely fantastic midfielders in the next week or so, will that make us beat Newcastle and Arsenal? I'll be honest, I'm not sure whether it would. You want your best team, and I'm not saying you don't want your best team, but fundamentally, when I remember football where you used to buy something on a Tuesday and on a Thursday, and there was none of this transfer window business and such like, it was just the 3rd week in March that you couldn't buy players anymore. You keep coming in all the time. Yes, you want to prepare. Yes, you want to have the best team at the best disposal. But I used to work once upon a time, Joe, before I retired. And what happened was in my job, and I think often we don't look at jobs and football as something that's very similar, and it's very true that you've got a business. And basically, I remember so many Leeds players that we bought, and they've been awful. We had them on a 4-year contract, and for 3 years we've been waiting for them to go. So at work, people used to say to me in the job I was in, I need to replace this vacancy. I've got a vacancy, I need to replace them. And I used to say, just get the right person. And once or twice people, against my better judgment, would actually bring someone in and I'd say, I'm not sure that's the right person. And what used to happen was after 6 months they couldn't do it. And in my job I used to have to release them people and let them know and such like, till one day I became a bit cleverer and said, tell you what, Joe, you put this person in, they don't make it, you'll be the one that has that discussion with them. And it really sharpened their mind. And I didn't think for me, I want Leeds to get the right players, not the players this week. And you know, when I look at your show, I look at all the scouting that's done. These players, I'm really into football. I've watched it, you know, since 1970. But the players that we bought, I'd never heard of them until a few weeks ago.
No, sir. Yeah.
How many people who watch your content know these people? Not many.
No,
let's be honest.
Yeah.
So we need the right people, and I think one of the things for me that I would say, and I'm not here to be an apologist for the club.
No.
And Adam Underwood is like Leeds through and through. He's been there. He's been there a long time. All levels, absolutely, and the kids and everything. And I suppose for me, you've got Angus Kinnear and others that have gone to Everton now. We've had them. Yeah. It wasn't great.
No.
They let Orta do whatever he wanted, and so, you know, fundamentally, I think that Leeds should just have a bit of a chill and make sure that we actually get the right players. And you only have to look at Tanaka. You know, what I would love to know, Joe. This is a bit of an odd one. What I would love to know is who did Farke want last year? Because Tanaka was his second year of wanting him.
Yeah, exactly.
So who was he wanting last year, and was it somebody that he was looking for in the championship? So it's different this year, possibly. Yeah. But there might be people that Farke really, really wants, and you can't argue with Tanaka. He's been brilliant. So it's not just the amount of money that you pay, but getting the right people, really.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think, and obviously people watch me, and one day I'm saying chill, the next minute I'm losing my head, because I'm an emotional guy. I do go up and down like it. Yeah, football fan, exactly. We're all fickle. Yeah. Sometimes I get berated for, 1 minute you were saying this, but like you say, you're up and down like a yo-yo and things change. But when I can come and have perspective and not react in the moment and have chats with Martin, I totally hear what he's saying in terms of giving the club time and making sure we've got the right people. But obviously we play Manchester United on Saturday. But like you've said there, you mentioned Everton. Man United have made one signing, we'll have 4 new ones. So are we ahead of the game, I would say, potentially? I think what's important for me, Martin, I don't know if you agree, we go away to Germany in like 2 weeks or so. For the manager, ideally we need to get players in, because this Saturday against them is sort of like a glorified money maker. When we're away in Germany, that's when the real work starts. Shape,
behind the
all
scenes.
that tactics, camaraderie within the group. There's no family involved. They're away in Germany, reclusive, so that's when it really starts to come together. So could do with a keeper, could do with that new number 9 if we're going to get him, a new winger potentially, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I don't remember in recent history when we haven't gone away somewhere and somebody's joined that group. So I'm waiting for somebody to join the group next week. I'm sure of that. But I think just going back to your Man United point, going back to the point that I made earlier, I love winning, and if we beat Man United on Saturday, wherever it is, in a pre-season friendly, I'll absolutely love it. In reality, does it matter? No. We go to Dublin, we play an AC Milan. What a sexy fixture, absolutely great. And I'd love to beat AC Milan. They've got the new manager and, absolutely fantastic manager they've just brought in. We might beat them, so what? It's about getting it right. So I think your point about doing your drills and getting your understanding, all that work that everybody talks about, that pre-season is so important. I just think getting 1 or 2 players in for next week is really important, and I actually think that we will. I mean, you'll know Sean Longstaff, you live in the area, obviously you're from the North East, you'll have a lot of friends that are Newcastle fans. He's the type of signing for me that, it's not sexy, but he's played 7 consecutive seasons in the Premier League. He knows what's needed at the top end of the division and the bottom end of the division. So I think some people bemoaning that transfer. I'd love us to snap someone like him up. I mean, Sean Longstaff, I don't know anything about him other than I heard last week he's a really good fast bowler for timeout. Now, in professional football, nowadays, managers don't let professional footballers play sport, and they don't play cricket like they used once upon a time. You used to have people who were professional footballers that played football in the winter and cricket in the summer. But this guy is playing for a local team. He's a bowler. That says to me, he's like a decent bloke. He's local. He's really knows his value. And if you just put him in a sort of Leeds perspective with Calvin, and we'd have the discussion and all that, he's that type of person who wants to be part of and represent with all his heart his local team. So he'll come to Leeds as a professional footballer who will do a good job as a professional. But fundamentally, for
setting
me,
the standard as
setting
well
the standard.
Training.
But I think where football clubs sometimes get it wrong, Leeds have done it, everyone does it. They're talking about 15 million, whatever, for Sean Longstaff. Newcastle, if they think he's worth 15 million, he should have 3 years left in his contract. They've done the same thing. He's a local lad, and they've let it run down. And actually, if Leeds are saying, I'm not going to pay 15 million, it's because he's got 1 year left. It's actually Newcastle's problem, this thing about the money and such like. So that'll be an interesting one. I think he will come, and I think he'll do a really good job, because I think you need someone that is battle hardened, and actually 27. He's done his apprenticeship at Newcastle. He's gone through the Championship. He's gone through the Premier League. And when you look at the 3 players that he's up against for a Newcastle midfield, you're talking hundreds of millions of pounds.
And you know what you mentioned, we just touched on there briefly, setting standards. And I understand some people were maybe frustrated with the re-signing of Sam Byram for a year. But if you watch behind training, the guy that won the bleep test was Sam Byron, because they're the sort of pros that know that maybe they're not going to play every week, but know that they need to put in hard graft to be anywhere close to it, and they set the standards within training. And it's important when conceivably Leeds could be in a relegation battle that you have people like that that are going to put in work, you know.
Absolutely, knowing the systems, knowing somebody's mentality, you know, knowing what they bring behind the scenes is absolutely massive. And you know, if we went for somebody of Byram's injury record, what he's done over a number of years, you'd be talking 4 or 5 million. That's what happens for a player that's not really that well known or recognised for a lot of, you know, teams being after them. But you sometimes forget like the quality that you've got in house. And as a person, he just comes across as a really top pro. And actually, I don't ever remember Byram letting us down. Might not have been the best, he might have made some mistakes, but letting us down.
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10. Yeah. Has he been like playing up the crowd and getting sent off? You know, no. He does the job. And actually, if Leeds are playing Bournemouth away, and he comes in as left back or right back, I wouldn't be thinking, oh God. I'd be thinking, well, he'll do the job.
Yeah, exactly, agreed.
And you need that.
You do, mate. And to finish up, obviously, you touched on you like winning games of football. In order for Leeds United to stay up, I predicted we need at least 10 wins and then see where that takes us. Are you confident that we can get that, we can achieve staying in the Premier League?
I think what we could do, Joe, for 5 minutes is make up little sub-leagues. And I think we've got to win the league that we could make up. And I think, without discussing it before, the league would be Sunderland, Burnley, ourselves, possibly with Frank going.
Brentford.
You're looking at Wolves and Man United, because they've only bought one player. So if you look at those 6, that's 12 games. You've got to win sort of 7, 8. And not lose, because you know the old-fashioned 3-pointer is massive. If we go and lose away to Sunderland, that is massive. So I think for me, I'd love to go to the Emirates, as they call it now at Arsenal, and win. That'd be great. It'd be lovely. But you know what? If we don't win 4 games after that, and one of those games is against a team that we should be beating, it means nothing. So I just think we've got to. My mentality is, we've got to win that sub-league and win it by quite a few points, really.
Yeah, I think for me, the way my head's working at the minute, I've said it on the channel, it's counting down from 10 wins. That first one comes and go, right, we need 9 more. Right, we need 8 more. And, you know, if we can start with one against Everton, it's absolutely massive. You know? And then, like you say, go to these big teams, and maybe we're lucky and we pick up a point, you know? And then that's where, for 10 wins gets you 30 points, odd points here and there, we get up towards, say, 36, and Isaac Johnson at Leeds Live had said 36 points in 9 of the last 10 seasons keeps you up. So that's where we want to be aiming. Any final thoughts, Martin? I know you're dying to tuck into that. You've done well. I've been
obviously my lemon cakes there. I've got to have that. But I think for me, you need a bit of luck. And, you know, we can beat Bournemouth, we can beat Brentford, we can beat Crystal Palace, and we can beat a lot of teams, because they might be going through an injury crisis. You never know what's going to happen over a season. If we get all these players in and they all stay fit, we might be absolutely sailing. You know, we might get 2 players in and we might pay 30 million for somebody, and 3 weeks later they get a big injury. There's a lot of luck involved in football, and actually we need to be good, but we need to be a bit lucky as well, if I'm honest. Yeah,
I think what plays, and just to touch like further build on that, the fact that there's the most teams in Europe in the Premier League there's ever been, it's massive. Because if we get to play a Forest or a Crystal Palace the Sunday after they've played on the Thursday, massively helps us.
Yeah, absolutely. Could be in Eastern Europe. They could be travelling miles and miles. Absolutely right. Definitely.
More games to play, more risk of injuries. All these little increment gains as a newly promoted side you need to take, don't you?
You're absolutely right. But let's just stay up. 4th spot would be great. But if they do, then great. If they don't, and we don't even think about that, get loads of wins the year after.
Exactly. Thanks, folks. Listen, I'll probably be back this evening, depending on if there's any news to talk about. Thank you very much, Martin, for coming on. We're going to tuck into this on our brews now, and if you're ever in the Sunderland area, come to this Penshire Monument farm shop. It's banging. Thanks, folks.
Cheers, Joe.